A lot of it's very similar, right? Like, number one, you need to be supportive of those kids, but also you need to be visibly supportive in some way. Otherwise, they don't know that you're supportive. So, and that means, doing what kind of whatever your district allows you to do in order to be visible, whether that's having a pride flag in your classroom or having like a rainbow sticker on the outside of your door or wearing an LGBTQ inclusive pin on your lapel, or there's all sorts of ways that you can kind of hint that you're a safe person to have a conversation with. But if nobody knows that they can approach you, then they're not going to, right? These are kids who are not going to go out on a limb and trust some random adult with that information if they think, A, it's going to get back to unsupportive parents, or it's going to get out to their peers, or you're going to view them in some sort of negative way. They're only going to go to those trusted few first when that coming out process starts, because that's how it works with pretty much all of us, right? We go to a handful of folks who we think are going to receive us well, and we share that information with them, and we kind of see how they react, and then we kind of use that reaction to snowball and think, well, okay, maybe this other person, and maybe this other person, and maybe they can help me with this person, and then at least you've got a couple people to talk to in confidence. And one of the few things that I think a lot of people don't know is that, in terms of evaluating suicide risk, one of the things that we see is just having one supportive adult in your life can like have your risk of attempting suicide in the future. 50% reduction. That is massive, right? And so just being that one person for that kid can literally save lives. I'm it sounds hyperbolic, but honestly, it isn't. The data backs this position up, that just being that person that they can come to and talk to in confidence, that has a huge impact on a kid who maybe has nobody in their life aside from you that they can come and talk to about this because they're struggling, because maybe every other adult in their life is telling them, messages about how awful it is to be LGBTQ or how awful it is to be trans. And maybe those messages aren't even explicit, right? Maybe they're implicit messages that they're getting from the way adults talk about LGBTQ people that they see in the media, or the jokes that they make, or, whatever else. Or they could even be just inferring statements from things that they don't fully understand. So just like in my own personal life, the first thing my father said to me when I was born was, "You can be anything you want except gay." Literally verbatim, that is what he said. And I had heard that story for years and years, and had always kind of understood it to mean gay people are bad and he doesn't like gay people, right? It actually turned out that the reason was he had a really good friend while he was in the military who was murdered for being gay. And he was terrified that that would happen to someone else in his life that he loved. And so that was kind of the impetus for making that statement. But when you're a kid, you don't know to, to inquire any further. You just assume that the message that you're hearing is the message that it's facially communicating, right? So I mean, imagine a kid like me who is receiving those messages and who might think that they're gay, and even though their family isn't unsupportive, because my family was not unsupportive when I came out at all, they're very supportive, and I should have realized that sooner. But again, these implicit messages can stack up in ways that you can't necessarily predict. So even with a family that would be nominally supportive if they came out, it's really important for you to still be there to support those kids and to confer explicit messages of support so that they can start unpacking maybe what's going on in their own life.
I actually had a colleague of mine who sent out a survey. He wanted to gather some data about how LGBTQIA students felt in our school, and kind of the biggest piece of feedback that we got about specific behaviors from staff that actually make them feel comfortable and safe were having pride flags, trans flags, just having like that physical representation in the actual physical space that's right visible to other students, and especially using correct pronouns,
Yeah.
asking about that, using them, even just using the correct name often. And those to me seem like the lowest hanging fruit, right? In terms of
Yes.
treating students with basic human dignity is helping greeting them with the names that they prefer and the pronouns that they're going to use. So I would say like a lot of that what you just said is borne out by the survey data that I pulled up here right in front of me.